Hey everyone, my name is Matthew Sherman. Yes, that's how it's pronounced. It's Sherman, like the tank. And I wanted to record this video. Sorry, I'm having to record this video in my car, but I drive an hour to work and then an hour home at night during the weekdays, except I work 2 days from home. I work in the web industry, and I'm a user experience designer who works in code, currently working on a design system. And so I don't really have a lot of time to record a video otherwise, but wanted to make sure that I recorded this video. I've tried to record this video about a dozen times now and just never got it right, so hopefully this is the one. I want to talk to you about politicians in tech. So, going pretty far back, I've had depression in my life, but I've had this sort of like slight depression about where we're going with technology because of politicians. And I think that really got going and really started when we had this senator from Alaska named Ted. It's not Ted Cruz. Oh my gosh, I need some coffee. Well, anyway, the senator from Alaska that said that the internet is a series of tubes, and that's why it takes a while for him to get an email. Clearly, we have people in politics that don't understand tech, and I realize that's one of the more funnier cases, but that's where we started to see companies, internet service providers, meddling with our technology, trying to remove the neutrality from the internet. And I believe that the internet is now a basic human right. It's now a utility that you cannot live without in this modern day and age. As we progress to things being more online, as we progress to requiring an email address for things, we're essentially living in this world where the internet is utility. And if you start charging tiered services for accessing different websites, okay, so other people have talked about this. If you understand anything about tech, then you're with me. You understand net neutrality. So now we've got the FCC removing net neutrality and the case being essentially shut down, and Ajit Pai is applauded by Trump, says that it's a great win for the American people, and we all know that Ajit Pai, the FCC, falsified signatures to get this legislation through. And yet it's still going on. We all know it. We can all prove it. We all know that not only did they falsify signatures to say, yes, we want to remove net neutrality, but they essentially stole identities. And we're not doing anything about it. So that's happening in technology. And also, I heard this story back in 2017. Elon Musk, I knew that Elon Musk was visiting with Trump, and I was hoping that he was talking to him about not only where we are with tech, with our infrastructure in America, in not only in tech, but with our roads and our highways and the quote-unquote crumbling infrastructure. But he was also talking to him about future tech and where we're going and what we need to do. People like Elon Musk understand technology on a larger scale. That's why so many people are, frankly, attracted. They like Elon because they see tech in a certain way, and he also sees tech in that way. he also understands. Sorry, I'm getting a little hoarse. I've already done this video once today and it didn't work. So intelligent people are attracted to intelligence. I don't hang out on a daily basis. I don't choose to hang out with people who aren't intelligent. I have friends that have many varying viewpoints, but they're all intelligent. I don't choose to spend my time with people who are not intelligent. So that's why a lot of people like Elon Musk. So when we hear that Elon Musk is going to talk to Trump, we're all on board with it. So I thought he met with him only once. I did a little bit of research, and I found out that he's met with him several times back in 2017. On the last time, this is the story I heard, the last time that Elon went to talk to Trump, he presented a lot of ideas about where we're going with technology and things that we needed to do. And Trump said, okay, well, that's really great. I'll get back to you on that. And essentially ended the discussion there. So that put a little bit more rain in that cloud of depression over my head. So we've got politicians that don't understand technology, have no idea where we're going with technology, and are running politics still like it's 1998. We're creating legislation, we're talking in politics about things like Tide Pods when we need to be talking about things like unregulated nanorobotics, unregulated gene therapy labs that are being homegrown, gene therapy that's going on in large pharmaceutical companies and in large agriculture companies. And we're not doing that. We're just basically, in our American government, they're throwing their hands up and saying, we don't understand it, it's either bad or we're not going to even address it. Look at the way the American government has approached cryptocurrency. We have Donald Trump saying that Bitcoin is essentially bad and dollar good. So we have things going on also like algorithmic trading. And we have these flash crashes happening. And then we have people in tech saying, well, this is why. And the government saying, well, we need to do something about it. And then never doing anything about it. So we have a government that is running things like it's 1998, and it's not. We're behind. We are so far behind that the rest of the world is pointing and laughing at us. That's really upsetting. That makes you want to grab a politician by their collar and shake them and say, wake up! The rest of the world thinks we're a joke. We should be leading the world. And what are we doing? We're doing nothing. We're doing less than nothing. So when an intelligent politician comes around and starts talking about some of the things in tech that we've been seeing going on, people who have any form of intelligence tend to listen. We tend to be attracted to that type of person. I don't think I've met a single person in tech. I've talked to all my friends, my coworkers, and everyone likes, and you know where I'm going with this, they like Andrew Yang. Why is it, and I'm going to get this number wrong, but I think it's 70%. Why is it that people who latch on to Lang, 70% of his voters, people that have said, I'm going to vote for him, are absolutely locked in they're not going to vote for another person. It's because we finally have a politician that understands technology. Now, some might make the argument that Donald Trump spoke the language of the disenfranchised voter back in 2016. I would argue that that's not what's going on. Yes, he is speaking our language, but he has policies that are laid out and are detailed, and he has solutions with those policies that will actually start to fix things. Not incrementally. We can't fix things incrementally anymore. As Scott Garibay said in his video, we need to start slingshotting our way to changing our society and the world we live in here in the United States to address some of these issues, because sometimes we're about 30 years behind. Things are going to start happening with foreign entities that will affect us, that the American government is just sticking their head in the sand about. We need someone who is going to essentially take the collars of politicians and shake them up. And it's not just Andrew Yang. We have to have politicians not only in the Republican Party, but also in the Democratic Party. Of course, we already have politicians in the Democratic Party, or politicians that are running for government, who understand what is going on. They understand that we need to start changing things fast. So, when Andrew Yang talks about automation, the thing that comes up the most, and one of the things that's interesting to me, and I'll tell you why, as someone who works in technology, let me tell you a little bit of backstory on what I've been doing for the past year. I work on a design system. So I design the way, in the code, working with my team who designs the interaction and how it's going to look. I work on the code to design something like a button, okay? And that button will then be used by the whole entire company over and over and over again. When we get that button perfect, or close to perfect, that might be the last time in my career, yes, my whole career, that I design a button. Because by the time that I get that button done to hand off to the rest of the company that I work for, the same thing might be going on. And actually, I guess you could say with material design, it is going on with other companies. So I may never have to work on one of the atomic components of a design system again, which is a button. That's essentially automation. You do things once, you get better at it. Okay, so you do things and you get better and better at it, and then you finally do it once for the last time. And then that's it. And then that work is removed from the human. I have skills that are going to be very difficult for a machine to automate. It's not design skills. It's not what people would think of as traditional design skills. I have human-centered design thinking skills now that are going to be very difficult for a machine to automate. So when Andrew Yang talks about automation and trucking, I get very interested because I'm very interested in self-driving vehicles. That to me is more interesting than electric vehicles, period, because you can have self-driving vehicles that run off of gas or electric. And so that takes out the whole the U.S. is not going to be electrified in another 10 years argument. Of course the U.S. is not going to be electrified fully, running off electric vehicles in the next 10 years. We're always going to have the need for internal combustion engine vehicles in some form or capacity. It's just going to be a necessity in our lives. That doesn't mean that the average person will need that type of vehicle, an ICE vehicle. But someone in the U.S. will need an ICE vehicle for some reason. It will probably be very utilitarian. Anyway, so we have Waymo being tested in Arizona. We have self-driving UPS trucks being tested in Arizona. And these self-driving vehicles are getting better and better and better. And we have 3 million truckers in the United States who have varying degrees of loans also. So there's the whole debt issue that we have to deal with. And those jobs are being eliminated. Eventually, we will have self-driving vehicles that require no driver at all. That is sort of the end game of the automated trucking story, right? But in between there, we have people who are only driving this truck at a certain time, people who are remote driving via, like, if you work in technology, and then you know what remote desktop is, and it'll essentially work like that. We might have drivers who just hop into the seat at a certain point, like once the truck arrives somewhere, and then they drive it the rest of the way in the city. We have all these different ways that jobs are going to be removed from just the truck driving portion of it. So that's 3 million people. There are 3 to 7 million, I believe 7 million people supporting the truck driving industry that work at truck stops, work at Flying J's, work at mechanic shops that support the trucking industry. That's more than the population of Dallas-Fort Worth. So now you have all these people without a job, and we know what joblessness does to this country. And unfortunately, joblessness isn't just the thing. I mean, there's the whole mental thing with joblessness, but people don't have the discretionary spending or the savings to be able to pay for their own education, to get into a different job, much less pay for their rent when they don't have the money because they're working paycheck to paycheck. So we will have, let's just say that it's 3 million truckers and 7 million support staff, jobless, destitute, depressed, and potentially homeless, roaming the United States. Think about that for a second. What does that do to a society? So, as I've said before, and I've recorded this video so many times that I can't remember when I've said something and when I haven't, but hopefully I've said this. Scott Garibay, you're a genius. Love your videos, man. Intelligence is attracted to intelligence. That's why when we see Andrew Yang, we get lit up, because we finally have a politician that understands. He understands things not only on a smaller scale, but also on a larger human scale. You can always make this argument that with automation, when you remove a job, another job replaces it somehow, whether that be an engineer or a coder or something else that we don't know about yet. I hope that's the case, but the evidence does not show that. The evidence in the Brookings Institute and the Hastings Institute for what automation does to the U.S. says that, yes, another job is created, and that job is Uber driving or gig economy, that is not a sustainable position for us to be in. One, because if you put people into a job where they're going to be working for a driving gig like Uber or Lyft, that job will be automated away too. Why do you think Uber is getting into the self-driving vehicle game? Because they don't want to pay drivers. They already pay drivers low enough. And Waymo's going to eventually... Waymo's its own thing. I don't know if it's fully spun off from Google yet and ABC Corporation. But I suspect that it's going to be bought by Uber or Lyft within the next 10 years. So then those jobs are eliminated. White-collar jobs will be eliminated. Call center jobs are quickly getting eliminated. It's already happening. It's already here. We can't just sit on our hands and do nothing. So I have not met a single intelligent person yet that doesn't want to vote for Andrew Yang. Many of them believe that he can't win, but they're still going to vote for him in the primary so he has a chance. So now you know why I'm voting for Andrew Yang.